About a month after Rose got enrolled in her new school, her parents began to notice a lot of negative changes in her. For example, Rose became very insolent and no longer respected her parents. If she did something wrong and her mother yelled at her, Rose would yell back at her mother immediately. One day, Rose's mother, Ada, instructed Rose to clean the house and wash some clothes while she went to the market. But about 3 hours later, Ada returned from the market and Rose had not done anything. "Rose! Don't tell me you didn't do any of the chores I told you to do!" Ada yelled at Rose, who was in the living room watching a movie. However, Rose did not respond or act like her mother was talking to her. "Rose! Is it not you that I'm talking to?" Ada asked angrily. "Oh, Mommy, you shout too much. When you were not at home, the house was very peaceful, but now it's like a market," Rose said. "Hey, Rose! Did you just say that to me?" Ada yelled. "You, this girl! I will teach you a lesson today," Ada added. Then she slapped Rose on her left cheek. As soon as Ada slapped Rose, Rose started yelling at her mother and then she walked out of the living room. "I think I have pampered you too much. If you know what is good for you, go inside that kitchen and do what I asked you to do, or else you will sleep hungry in this house," Ada said at the top of her voice. Aside from Rose becoming insolent and disrespectful, she also became very stubborn and barely listened to anything her parents told her. Since the wealthy man was the one paying Rose's school fees, at the slightest provocation, Rose would remind her parents that the wealthy man had enrolled her in a school her parents could never afford, so they had no right to distract her from her studies. Whenever Rose said that, her parents would be very sad, but they wouldn't say anything to Rose. All they wanted was for her to get good grades and complete her secondary school education. Just as the wealthy man had instructed, every morning, Chike, Rose's father, would drive Rose to school, and then in the afternoons or evenings, Rose would return home by herself. One Monday morning as usual, Chike drove Rose to school. On his way home, he realized Rose had forgotten a school project she had been working on the whole weekend and was supposed to submit that day. "Oh, I need to go back to her school, or all her efforts will be in vain," Chike soliloquized. Without wasting time, he turned around and drove back to Rose's school. Since Chike knew Rose's class, instead of sending a student to call her, he took her school project and went straight to her class. But before Chike reached Rose's class, Rose had already spotted him, so she went to him instead. "Oh, Rose, you forgot your school project," Chike said as soon as Rose walked to him. "Why did you have to come to my class? Do you want to embarrass me?" Rose asked angrily, and she snatched the school project from her father's hand. "The least you can say is thank you," Chike said. But before he could complete his statement, Rose had already walked out on him. From where Chike stood, he could see that some of Rose's friends were waiting for her, and he could hear everything they said. "Was that your dad?" one of Rose's friends asked. "My dad? God forbid! He's just my driver," Rose said. "Oh, it's really nice of him to bring this for you," one of Rose's friends said. "Whatever," Rose answered carelessly, and she returned to class with her friends. Little did Rose know that her father had heard everything she said to her friends, and that alone broke his heart and made him cry. In fact, even after Chike returned to the car, he could not drive off immediately because he was so devastated and heartbroken by what he had heard. When Chike returned home that morning, Ada noticed that he looked sad and dull compared to when he left the house earlier that morning. So she asked him what was wrong. And Chike told her everything. "Oh God, where did we fail in raising this girl? When I was a child, I never disrespected my parents or denied them no matter how poor we were. Ada said in a sad voice. "Why is this girl like this? She added. Later that evening, Rose returned home around 6 p.m., which was a very odd time for a student to return from school. "Rose, where are you coming from by this time?" Ada asked Rose. Already, Ada had been waiting in the living room for Rose to return. "School!" Rose responded coldly and attempted to walk out on her mother. "I dare you to walk out on me!" Ada growled, and immediately Rose heard the tone of her mother's voice. She stopped. "I am asking you for the second time. Where are you coming from by this time?" Ada asked. "Mommy, I answered you already. I am coming back from school. We were doing a practical in the science lab. That's why we stayed longer today," Rose answered, but Ada didn't look convinced. "Rose, is it true that you told your classmates that your father is your driver?" Ada asked in an angry voice, but Rose did not respond. "Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what I said?" Ada asked. "I did," Rose answered without remorse. "After all, is he not the one who drives me to school every morning? If he were my father, he would have paid my school fees, which I'm sure he can never do," Rose added. "Rose, are you out of your mind? So because your father did not pay your school fees, you cannot give him the respect he deserves?" Ada asked. "Before, I used to say that you did some things because you were still a child. But now I know that you are such a terrible child," Ada said. "Whatever," Rose hissed. And just as she was about to walk out on her mother, her father, Chike, came out of the room. Rose did not know that her father was in the house the whole time and he had heard everything she had said. Instead of apologizing to her father, Rose made eye contact and entered her room. "God! What kind of child is this? I did not kill my mother, oh! Neither did I give her high blood pressure, so you cannot kill me!" Ada spoke at the top of her voice. That night, Ada could not sleep. She kept turning in bed until her husband, Chike, noticed. "Is it because of Rose that you have not slept?" Chike asked. "Yes, my husband. Please tell me, which wife or mother will sleep after hearing that her daughter denied her father in front of her friends today?" Ada said. There is nothing we can do. It has happened already. It's heartbreaking that a child we labored for and made so many sacrifices for does not appreciate all we did for her," Chike said. "You know what? I'm thinking we should send her back to the village. Let her go and live with Mama and go to school from there. Maybe she will be more appreciative if we do that," Ada suggested. "No, nah. We cannot do that. If we withdraw her from this big school just because she disrespected me, then we will be wicked parents. I told you that the school is for wealthy people, so it's a privilege for her to be there. If she can complete her secondary school there, then we should be thanking God," Chike said. "But ever since she started schooling there, she has become something else. She is very stubborn and doesn't respect any of us. Didn't you see what she did this evening?" Ada said. "Let's hope for the best that she changes. Hopefully, as she grows older, she will realize her wrongdoings," Chike said. "I hope so too. I really do," Ada responded. After that incident, Chike and Ada expected that Rose would change as she grew older. But they were wrong. Academically, Rose was doing okay, but she had no respect for her parents. In fact, Rose respected the wealthy man more than she respected her parents. She would even lie to her friends in school and tell them that the wealthy man was her father and that her mother lived outside the country. As Rose grew older, she began to sneak out of the house at night, even while she was still in secondary school. Her parents did not know that Rose had been sneaking out of the house almost every night until her mother caught her one night. That night, Ada got up to pee around 2 a.m. and while she was in the bathroom, she heard some movements outside the house. Since it was just the wealthy man and her family that lived in the compound, Ada feared someone might have broken into their compound, so she went to wake Chike up. While Chike and Ada were trying to decide what to do, Rose opened the living room door and was shocked to see her parents awake. "Rose!" Chike thundered. "Where are you coming from by this time of the night? And how did you leave this house?" Chike added. While Chike questioned Rose, Ada was speechless and did not know how to react. "If you do not answer me, I will send you out of my house right now!" Chike yelled. "It's not your house. It's your boss's house. So cut the drama." Rose answered. "Did you just say that to your father?" Ada asked in shock, but before Rose could respond, Ada started hitting her. "Rose! Rose! Rose! How many times did I call you? You see this path you are following? You will definitely fall into a ditch," Chike said, then returned to his room. After a few minutes of hitting Rose, Rose pushed Ada and she fell and broke her arm. "Rose, you pushed me?" Ada asked in shock. "Yes, and the next time your hand touches me, I will do worse than that," Rose said. Then she walked out on her mother. Because Ada had broken her arm so severely, Chike had to help her up. For the remainder of that morning, Ada did not sleep. She spent time praying for Rose to change. Ada believed that their enemies from their village had gotten to Rose, so she believed praying was the remedy. "You better stop wasting your time. Prayer will not change Rose," Chike said. "Then what will? I have done everything a mother can do to make her child change, but nothing is working. I have talked to her like a mother, used force, petted her, but nothing is working," Ada said. "It's not our fault. Let us just accept that not all eggs are good, and Rose is an example of a bad egg," Chike said. "I just hope she doesn't bring us any trouble," he added. Sadly, Chike and Ada did not know they weren't the only ones who saw Rose return home at 2 a.m. The wealthy man who was about to go to bed also heard movements in the compound, and out of fear, he went to get his gun. In fact, the wealthy man was about to shoot whom he believed was a thief before he realized that it was Rose who was returning home at that time. He even went downstairs to speak to Chike, but after he overheard Chike's conversation with Rose, he returned to his apartment. The following morning, just as Chike was about to drive Rose to school, the wealthy man asked to see him and his family. "Chike, do you know that I almost shot your daughter this morning?" the wealthy man asked. "I don't understand you, sir," Chike said. "What do you mean you do not understand? Didn't your daughter come home by 2 a.m. this morning?" the wealthy man growled. In all the years Chike had worked with the wealthy man, that was the first time he had heard the man raise his voice. "Won't you answer me?" the wealthy man asked. I'm sorry, sir," Chike apologized. "There is no need to apologize. At this point, I think it's better I relieve you of your job before I commit murder," the wealthy man said. "God forbid, sir! You will not kill anyone," Ada said. "Please, I assure you that it will not happen again," Ada begged. "I'm sorry, Ada, but I have made up my mind. I thought I could treat you guys like family, but I don't want any trouble. I will pay you for this month and next month, and you have to leave before the end of tomorrow," the wealthy man said. "But sir, what about my school?" Rose asked. "You should have thought of that before you did what you did." I even found out that you talk to your parents however you please. I'm so disappointed in you, Rose, the wealthy man said. Despite how much Ada and Chike begged the wealthy man, the man still wouldn't change his mind. Sadly, the following day, Chike, Ada and Rose returned to Okpono village. Upon returning to the village, Rose expected that her parents would try to enroll her in a new school, but they didn't. In fact, from the day they returned to the village, Rose had to start fending for herself because her parents could not forgive her for what she had done. Instead of schooling, Rose began to hawk and sell fruits, and she continued doing that for many years. Because of her bad character, Rose lost the opportunity to live a good life, go to a great school, and have a bright future. The end. Did you enjoy this story? Let us know in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to follow our channel on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.